Some machines were never meant to be quiet. They weren't built to politely move people from one place to another. They were built to dominate the landscape, to shake the ground, to make you stop and stare in disbelief. Today you're stepping into a world where steel giants ruled the rails. Locomotives so powerful, they bent tracks, scared engineers, and pushed entire nations forward. These weren't just trains. They were moving forces of nature. And as you listen to this, you might start to wonder how anything that heavy, that loud, and that aggressive was ever allowed to exist. Stick with me, because every engine on this journey gets more brutal than the last dots imagine standing beside. A railway line in the 1920s. The ground starts to tremble. The air feels thicker. And then you see it. The Great Western Railway 4073 Castle class charging toward you like a steel knight in full armor. This locomotive wasn't built to experiment. It was built to win. At a time when Britain was racing for railway dominance, the Castle class arrived to prove that speed and strength could live in perfect balance. You're looking at a machine that could produce nearly 3,000 horsepower, pulling heavy passenger trains at speeds that shocked the public. Over 90 miles per hour, in an era when most people thought that was reckless and even impossible. What made it special wasn't just the speed. It was how smooth it felt doing it. Engineers trusted it. Crews loved it. Passengers felt like they were flying across the countryside. Its long green body, polished brass, and confident stance made it feel almost royal. When it passed through towns, people stopped what they were doing just to watch. And even today, some of these locomotives are still alive, still breathing steam on heritage railways. One of them even carried members of the British royal family. Not bad for a machine nearly a century old. But while the Castle class was elegant, the next locomotive was something very different. Smaller, lighter, and far more rebellious. Now picture post-war Britain. Tracks are damaged. Infrastructure is weak. Railways need something flexible, fast, and fearless. That's when the Southern Railway introduced 34028, better known as Eddystone. This locomotive didn't care about perfection. It cared about survival and performance. Designed to run where others struggled, Eddystone was built to handle tight curves, rough tracks, and unpredictable weather. It may have looked compact, but it packed a serious punch. With around 2,500 horsepower, it could push past 85 miles per hour without hesitation. You would recognize it instantly. Its unusual shape, its bold air deflectors, and its aggressive stance made it look like it was always in motion, even when standing still. When it rushed through coastal routes, steam exploded around it like a rolling storm. Engineers respected it because it responded fast. Passengers loved it because it never felt weak. Today, Eddystone still runs, fully restored, reminding visitors that sometimes the toughest machines are the ones built under pressure. But if you think British railways were extreme, wait until you head south into a land where water was scarce and heat could kill engines. In the 1950s. South Africa needed a locomotive that could survive hell on rails. Endless distances, blazing temperatures, almost no water. The answer was the South African Railways Class 25. This wasn't a train. This was a survivor. Built to cross deserts and haul heavy freight for hundreds of miles, it had to be reliable no matter what. With close to 4,000 horsepower, it didn't just move loads. It dragged them across unforgiving land like it was nothing. What makes this locomotive truly fascinating is how it saved water. Some versions used a special system that captured steam, cooled it, and reused it. That meant it could travel far longer than most steam engines without stopping. Standing over 100 feet long, it looked intimidating, almost military. When it moved through the desert, steam clouds mixed with dust, creating a scene that felt unreal. Even today, preserved Class 25 locomotives remind engineers that innovation is often born from desperation. But endurance is one thing, speed is another, and the next locomotive was built with one goal in mind. Be the fastest thing on rails. In 1937, the LMS Coronation class exploded onto the scene. This locomotive wasn't shy. It wanted attention. It wanted records. Designed for luxury express routes, it delivered power with elegance. Over 3,000 horsepower and capable of exceeding 110 miles per hour, it redefined what passengers expected from rail travel. Riding behind this engine felt like entering the future. Smooth acceleration, quiet confidence, and a presence that turned heads everywhere it went. Its streamlined body, painted in royal blue with silver lines, made it look like it was cutting through air itself. This locomotive didn't just pull trains. It pulled prestige. It served routes between London and Scotland, carrying high-class passengers in comfort most people had never experienced before. Even kings attended its unveiling. Several still exist today, restored and admired. But despite all that luxury and speed, there was one engine waiting in the shadows, preparing to shatter every belief about what steam could do, because in 1938, something happened that still hasn't been beaten. The LNER class, a 4,468 Mallard, wasn't just fast. It was historic. Designed to break records, it delivered more than 3,500 horsepower and then proved it in the most dramatic way possible. On a summer day in July, Mallard hit 126 miles per hour. A world record for steam locomotives that still stands today. Don't imagine hearing that roar as it blasted down the track. The ground shaking, the wind screaming, people realizing they were witnessing history in motion. Mallard looked like the future with its sleek blue body and flowing lines. It connected London and Edinburgh at speeds people couldn't believe. Today, it rests in a museum, silent but legendary. And yet, as powerful as Mallard was, the next locomotive didn't care about records. It cared about raw force dot, and that's where things start to get truly brutal. Asterisk now, imagine stepping into post-war Europe, where engineers were obsessed with rebuilding faster, stronger, and smarter than ever before. In East Germany, one locomotive emerged that shocked even seasoned railway experts. The DR 18201 wasn't meant to be ordinary. It was a statement, a declaration that steam power still had untapped potential. Built in 1961, this machine was refined, aggressive, and unbelievably fast for its size. With nearly 4,000 horsepower pushing through its frame, it could cruise beyond 110 miles per hour without breaking a sweat. What made it even more impressive was its control. At high speeds, most steam locomotives felt wild, almost dangerous. The 18,201 felt planted. Stable, confident. Engineers trusted it because it didn't fight them. It responded smoothly, even at speeds that made tracks vibrate violently. Its long green body and elegant proportions made it look calm, almost polite. But when it moved, the sound of escaping steam and pounding pistons filled the air like rolling thunder. Even today, this locomotive is still operational. Watching it run is like seeing history refuse to slow down. But Europe was only warming up. Across the Atlantic, American engineers were building something far more intimidating in the United States. Railroads weren't just about speed. They were about distance, mountains, freight, endless miles of unforgiving terrain. And few locomotives represent that philosophy better than the Norfolk and Western 611. Built in 1950, this machine wasn't outsourced or rushed. It was crafted with pride in Roanoke, Virginia. Everything about it screamed balance. Power without chaos. Speed without fear. With over 5,000 horsepower, it could haul heavy passenger trains at more than 100 miles per hour through mountains that stopped weaker engines cold. You would hear it before you saw it. A deep, commanding sound that echoed through valleys and towns alike. The 611 looked like it belonged in motion. Its sleek black body, sharp red striping, and bullet-shaped nose made it one of the most beautiful steam locomotives ever built. Engineers said it handled like a dream. Passengers said it felt unstoppable. Even after retirement, public demand brought it back to life. Today, it still runs special excursions, proving that great engineering never truly dies. But as powerful as the 611 was, it was still only the beginning of America's obsession with size. During World War II, the United States, needed machines that could move massive loads without delay. Coal, steel, weapons, entire industries depended on railways that couldn't afford failure. That's when Union Pacific unleashed the Challenger 3985. This locomotive wasn't subtle. It was enormous, stretching over 120 feet long and weighing more than 600,000 pounds. It looked like it could pull cities if needed. With 2 sets of driving wheels and over 6,000 horsepower, it was designed to conquer mountains without slowing down. What made the Challenger special wasn't top speed. It was consistency. It could maintain high speeds while hauling insane amounts of freight through steep terrain. Engineers respected it because it listened. It responded. It didn't hesitate. During the war, it became a lifeline, moving critical supplies across the western United States. When it was restored decades later, crowds gathered just to hear it breathe again. The ground shook, the air filled with steam. It reminded people what true mechanical power felt like. But even the Challenger had a bigger brother, one so massive that people still struggle to comprehend it. The Union Pacific Big Boy wasn't just big, it was outrageous. Built between 1941 and 1944, it remains the largest steam locomotive ever constructed. Everything about it defied logic. Over 130 feet long, more than 1 million pounds with its tender, 16 driving wheels, 4 massive cylinders, and an estimated 7,000 horsepower pushing it forward. This machine was built to haul freight up the Rocky Mountains without help. And it did exactly that. Standing beside a big boy is humbling. You don't just see it, you feel it. When it moved, steam erupted like a volcanic blast. Entire neighborhoods disappeared behind clouds of smoke and heat. It wasn't fast in the traditional sense, but it didn't need to be. It was relentless. For decades, it handled terrain that would break lesser locomotives. Only 8 still exist today, and one of them, number 4014, was restored and returned to service in 2019. Watching it run in modern times feels unreal, like a dinosaur casually strolling through a city. And yet, even the big boy wasn't the most ambitious steam locomotive ever attempted, because sometimes engineers don't stop when something works. They ask, how far can we push this? And that question gave birth to one of the strangest, boldest locomotives in history. The Pennsylvania Railroad S1. This machine didn't just look different. It felt like it came from another world. Built in 1939, it was designed to blend speed, power, and futuristic style into one rolling experiment. The S1 was massive. Its wheel arrangement was unlike anything else ever built. So long and rigid that it required specially designed tracks just to turn properly. But when it was moving, it was unstoppable. With nearly 7,000 horsepower, it could cruise at 100 miles per hour while pulling heavy passenger trains. Some test runs reportedly pushed it even faster. Its streamlined body, designed by a famous industrial designer, made it look more like a concept car than a locomotive. Crowds gathered wherever it went. People couldn't believe something that big could move so smoothly. But the same size that made it legendary also limited it. It couldn't run everywhere. Infrastructure simply wasn't ready for it. Eventually, it was retired, not because it failed, but because it was too far ahead of its time. Today, it exists mostly in photographs and memories. A reminder that ambition doesn't always fit the world it's born into. By now, you might be thinking this level of power belongs to the past. That modern machines must have replaced these giants with quieter, cleaner technology. But the truth is, many engineers still look back at these locomotives with a mix of respect and disbelief. Not because they were perfect, but because they were bold. They were built without hesitation, at a time when limits were challenged head-on. And some of the most brutal locomotives ever created didn't just move trains. They shaped how railways think even today. Take the way these engines handled stress. Steel frames twisted, wheels fought for grip, boilers pushed pressure to the edge of safety. Crews weren't just operators. They were part of the machine. Inside the cab, heat wrapped around you like a furnace. Every sound mattered. A wrong hiss or vibration could mean trouble. Yet despite all this, these locomotives ran day after day, often in conditions that would destroy modern equipment. What's truly surprising is how fast some of them were. You've already heard about Mallard's record, but speed wasn't just about headlines. High-speed steam demanded precision. Tracks had to be perfect. Timing had to be flawless. Engineers memorized every curve, every slope, every mile marker. When a locomotive like the DR 18201 surged forward, it wasn't just speed you were witnessing. It was trust. Trust between human and machine. And then there's the sound. No modern train sounds like these did. The deep pounding rhythm, the explosive release of steam, the echo bouncing off hills and buildings. You didn't need to see them to know they were coming. Entire towns could hear a big boy long before it arrived. That sound wasn't noise. It was authority. It told everyone that something unstoppable was on the move. Many of these locomotives also became symbols of national pride. In Britain, they represented elegance and progress. In Germany, precision and technical mastery. In the United States, sheer dominance over distance and terrain. Each country built engines that reflected how it saw itself. That's why these machines feel personal even today. They weren't mass-produced tools. They had personality. Crews gave them nicknames. Fans followed their careers. Children grew up dreaming about them. But with power came sacrifice. These locomotives demanded constant care. Orders stops. Core supplies. Skilled maintenance crews working around the clock. One mistake could shut down an entire line. And as diesel and electric power rose, steam slowly faded. Not because it lacked power, but because it demanded too much. Too much labor. Too much time. Too much attention. Yet even as they disappeared from daily service, their legend only grew. That's why preserved locomotives draw massive crowds today. When a restored engine breathes steam again, people don't just watch. They feel something awaken. Adults become kids again. Cameras come out. Conversations stop. For a moment, modern life pauses as history rolls past. It's not nostalgia. It's awe. Some engineers still argue that no modern locomotive has ever matched the raw presence of a steam giant. Diesel engines are efficient. Electric trains are fast. But they don't announce themselves the same way. They don't fight gravity with visible force. They don't surround themselves with clouds of steam like a moving storm. Steam locomotives didn't hide their effort. They showed it, and maybe that's why they still matter. In a world obsessed with silent efficiency, these machines remind you that power can be dramatic, that engineering can be emotional, that progress once looked loud, hot, and unapologetic. You might also notice something else. Each of these locomotives pushed right up against the limits of what tracks, bridges, and infrastructure could handle. The big boy nearly maxed out rail strength. The S1 required special routes. Mallard needed perfect conditions for its record run. These weren't everyday machines. They were extreme solutions to extreme demands. And yet they worked. That's the part that still amazes experts today. They weren't concepts. They weren't models. They were in service, hauling people, moving freight, shaping economies, winning wars, connecting cities. These locomotives weren't experiments. They were answers. But here's the twist. Despite all their power, most of them lived surprisingly short working lives. Technology moved fast. Diesel replaced steam almost overnight in some regions. Entire fleets were scrapped within years. Giants reduced to metal piles. And yet, even in retirement, their impact never faded, because legends don't need to run forever. They just need to leave a mark. And that brings us to the final realization. When you compare all of these monsters, one question always returns. Was steam power pushed to its absolute limit? Or could it have gone even further if history had taken a different turn? That question still sparks debates among engineers and rail fans worldwide. Some believe steam had reached its peak. Others believe we stopped too soon. What's certain is this. These locomotives represent the most fearless era of railway engineering ever witnessed. And in the final part, we'll bring it all together. The power, the ambition, the legacy dot, and the one thing modern rail may never replace. As this journey comes to an end, you start to realize something important. These locomotives weren't just machines built for a moment in time. They were expressions of human confidence, of a belief that steel, fire, and motion could be pushed beyond what anyone thought was reasonable. Every bolt, every wheel, every blast of steam carried that belief forward across continents and decades. When you think about the Castle class, you remember elegance wrapped in power. A machine that proved speed didn't have to look violent. When you picture Eddystone, you see adaptability. A locomotive that survived chaos and weak infrastructure without complaint. The South African Class 25 reminds you that engineering isn't just about performance. Sometimes it's about survival, about making something work where nothing else can. The Coronation Class showed the world that luxury and brute force could share the same rails. Mallard proved that steam could be faster than anyone dared to imagine. And when you think about the DR 18201, you see precision, control, a refusal to let steam fade quietly into history. Then there are the American giants. The Norfolk and Western 611 stands as a symbol of balance, beauty and power moving as one. The Challenger showed what happens when strength becomes a national necessity. And the big boy feels almost unreal, like something humanity shouldn't have been able to build, yet somehow did. And finally, the S1, a machine that asked a dangerous question. What if we ignored limits? What if we built something purely because we could? It may not have lasted, but it didn't need to. Its existence alone changed how people thought about what was possible. What connects all of these? Locomotives isn't just horsepower or size, it's courage. Engineers didn't know if these machines would succeed. Crews didn't know if they'd behave the same way twice. Tracks weren't always ready. Bridges weren't always tested. And yet, they rolled forward anyway. That's something modern engineering rarely asks of us. Today, safety margins are wide. Computers predict failure long before it happens. But back then, progress meant risk. It meant standing beside a machine that could change history or destroy itself trying. And maybe that's why these locomotives still haunt us. Because they represent a time when progress was loud, when innovation had a heartbeat, when power was visible, audible, and impossible to ignore. Though you can stand next to a preserved steam locomotive today and feel it. The size, the tension, the story trapped in steel. You don't need to understand engineering to appreciate it. Your body understands it for you. Your chest feels heavier. Your breath slows. You sense that this machine once mattered deeply. Modern trains are faster, cleaner, smarter, but they don't inspire the same awe. They don't feel alive in the same way. Steam locomotives demanded attention. They demanded respect. They didn't whisper through landscapes. They announced themselves. And that might be their greatest legacy. Not the records, not the numbers, but the feeling they left behind. So here's the real question. If steam locomotives were given one more chance with modern materials and modern knowledge, could they have gone even further? Could we have seen something larger than the big boy? Faster than Mallard? More ambitious than the S1? Or was that era special precisely because it was imperfect? Because engineers had to rely on instinct, experience, and courage instead of computers and simulations? That's a question only history can answer. Now it's your turn. Which one of these iron giants impressed you the most? Which locomotive do you think best represents the golden age of steam? And if you could witness just one of them at full power, which would you choose? If you enjoyed this journey through the most brutal and powerful locomotives ever built, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications. That's how you help keep these stories alive. And if there's another machine or era you want to explore next, let me know in the comments. Because the world of extreme machines is endless, and this was just one track through it.